Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's indeed a pleasure to have Galaxy of Stars with us. I think the theme is really very topical. Cloud with confidence, unleash the power of cloud. And to dabble into this, we have four eminent speakers, okay, from the industry. And it will be a pleasure to hear their perspective. So I have with me today Shomoy Chakraborti, CTO ABP. I have Jay Prakash, CTO of InfoH. I have Harnath Babu, CIO of KPMG, and I have Bhoopendra Solanki, CIO of Sakra World Hospital. Thank you very much for making your time and coming here. And we really look forward to a very engaging, absorbing session about all your perspectives about the cloud space. Before we start with the questions, I just wanted to give a bit of context setting. Um, Sometimes the promise of cloud can seem to be a series of buzzwords, okay, strung together like agility, scalability, cost efficiency, flexibility, reliability, and so on and so forth. But the real value of cloud depends on where your company is on the maturity journey. Cloud technologies have been playing a significant role in business transformation and disruption across industries for over a decade now. It has been the key enabler for several innovations and technology breakthroughs. A true cloud strategy is needed to harness the benefits of cloud computing, and it should be business driven and focused on what and why issues and the alignment to business goals. As per analyst firm IDC, the Indian public cloud service market, which is including IaaS, PaaS, and software as a service, is expected to reach 17.8 billion by 2027, at a staggering rate CAGR of 23.4%. Although cloud computing has become a foundation for digital business, many organizations still struggle to optimize the powerful tool. Cloud computing represents one of the most valuable innovations in current IT and business strategies, but continues to be misunderstood and underutilized. Another analyst firm, Gartner, estimates that less than one-third of enterprises have really a documented cloud strategy. Edge computing is nascent, confusing trend that will complement cloud computing for nearly every enterprise by 2025. As enterprise infrastructure evolves and shifts in today's digital-first world, infrastructure and operations IO leaders need to prioritize adapting and protecting on their to-do list. The other important aspect is cybersecurity, and has become one of the biggest concerns for every organization. The cloud architecture needs to be built in a manner that is resilient, tolerable, and recoverable for the business to stay ahead of the curve. Cloud security is the integral part of cloud strategy formulation for organizations. This can never be an afterthought. It must be integrated into the design from the very beginning. Cloud deployments are constantly improving and optimizing business outcomes, including speed, resilience, and agility. New advancements are taking place every day. Cloud migration initiatives for enterprises' applications are often thwarted by application size, high levels of customization, and insufficient skills. Until very recently, cloud costs provoked the same popular response as the cloudy weather, complaint tinged with resignation. Financial necessity has changed their outlook, however. Economic uncertainty and cloud price inflation now challenge CIOs to get better grip on the as-a-service budgets. Complicating the task is the glut of cloud service providers and applications organizations acquired during COVID-19, which launched a wave of digital transformation. The pandemic drove a lot of increased consumption of SaaS, IaaS, and PaaS. We have been seeing some of the pandemic, the CFOs demanding more control based on the macroeconomic environment. As a result, CIOs got smarter about cloud use and began to sort out their spending. The whole focus has shifted to cloud optimization. FinOps, the best practices for managing cloud spend, will become a CIO mainstay in 2024 and going forward. Organizations will increasingly institutionalize FinOps regardless of improving economic prospects. So when you look at cloud and modernization, some of the technology has become buzzwords like AI, machine learning, IoT, edge, and automation. But unless you have a business case that defines the architecture and the principles of using the services, you're not going to really get the business outcomes you want. Cloud technology helps us to realize use cases, but technology and the business case have to go hand in hand. Think of modern ride-hailing services. They use telecommunication, payment gateways, and smartphones all together. Technology is driving the concept, but without the use case, the technology would be useless. So with this few words, I would like to open up the discussion, and I want to hear from the experts out here about their viewpoints on the cloud journey. So my first question, and it need not be in any order, anyone can pick it up, that cloud migration have a massive impact on business. It has led to reduced total cost of ownership, faster time to delivery, enhanced opportunities for innovation. In this process, we intend to move a company's digital assets, services, databases, IT resources, and applications either partially or only into the cloud. As a CIO, how do you intend to modernize your workloads while avoiding burdensome licensing fees from the legacy applications and safeguard the data while increasing governance and compliance with the regulators? So, over to you. Anyone can take a stab at it.
So, Prasenjit, if I may take the question.
Yes, sir.
So I think it's an interesting question, Prasenjit, and thanks for having me here. I think first thing is modernizing workloads and safeguarding the data when you're migrating the data onto the applications of the cloud. It's a very balancing act, right? And there are various strategies that one need to look at. Primarily, when it comes to running the applications on the cloud, it's not a straight lift and shift that actually works when it comes to migrating to the cloud. So there's no way at your point that somebody moves from on-premise to the cloud and continues to not burn money if it's not really tuned to run on the cloud. So a couple of strategies one can look at, especially from a modernization point of view, is containerization. So you can relook at an application, see whether you can refactor the application, use containers, and as an example, Docker and Kubernetes, to see how you can scale the infrastructure and run the application efficiently. And I think it's important to understand how well you can control the underlying infrastructure that you would have, right? Typically, on-premise, you always have the comfort that you have deployed the infrastructure. You still be able to run the applications very seamlessly. But when it comes to cloud, the moment you want to start consuming infrastructure and services, I think it starts, there's a bill that is sent to you at the end of the month. So I think it's important to be very clear how we want to structure applications. That's one. Second is look at, cloud native architectures. So as I was mentioning, you need to refactor the application, look at containers, and possibly also relook at the idea of serverless computing, where you're not really holding infrastructure to run your applications, but you're passing on the processing requirement to the cloud infrastructure as and when required. So typically, you can look at Azure serverless infrastructure or AWS. I mean, all the service providers, they do have serverless computing available, right? And that's how you use the scalability and the agility aspect of it. Third part is typically when costs starts pushing you harder, you could also look at services which are open source, right? They could be proprietary services that could be hosted on a cloud service provider, but also there could be services which could be open source. And there are a lot of communities which are really contributing to those open source services. So those you could leverage and rebuild your application, right? I think the bottom line is refactor your code and modernize your application. The other part which is important when you migrate to cloud is, it's always assumed that if I put my data in the application on the cloud, it is safe. It is not so, right? It's a shared responsibility that the company is putting the data, and obviously between the cloud provider as well. So depending on whichever stack you put the application, be it on the IaaS, PaaS, or SaaS, you'll have to take the responsibility accordingly in terms of data protection, right? So you have to necessarily leverage, depending on the tier that you have taken, tier of service that you have taken, to leverage the type of security that you could take in the cloud service provider, or you can actually add on additionally your own services. You could look at CASBs and DLPs to make sure that your data is protected when it is out. And most importantly, there is a necessity of a compliance automation when you move to the cloud, right? So you have to look at, depending on the type of data that you are storing on the cloud, if it's customer health data, so I compliant to HIPAA, is customer personally identifiable information, so I compliant to GDPR. I think some of those compliances are important. The bottom line is when you're putting your data onto the cloud, you have to be compliant to the governance framework, right? The governance which could be applicable onto your data, on when the data can come onto the cloud, how the data needs to be retired, what sort of controls do you need to put in, what security controls you need to add. I think that's how you gotta think. So to kind of summarize my point, one, you need to have a very clear strategy in terms of how you want to move your applications from on-premise to cloud, the modernization strategy, or using the services which are relevant for you. how do you secure the data when it comes to, the data that's.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. So when you touched upon scalability, agility, you talked about open source, serverless computing, data protection, compliance and governance frameworks. A lot of points. Thanks a lot. Anyone wants to add on to supplement what Harnath Babu said?
So I think I'll pick it up next if you...
Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
So I think Harnath has covered overall like the complete strategy. So one thing which I could feel like which probably related to your question where the licensing fee comes into the picture. So probably, though some pieces Harnath has already complemented, stating like there are a couple of open source solutions like which could able to help you adopt and maybe modernize your application there. But in case if you struggle still with some kind of skill where like you can't simply just convert those application into open source solutions, probably some kind of license optimization tools as well comes nowadays, like which could able to help you really analyze your current uses of license and probably like that gives you an optimized way, or rather I would say like the inventory through which you can cut down on unused or properly unused licenses in the complete infrastructure. There are certain other things specifically when we talk about license where now cloud providers has also started offering some kind of thing which is called bring your own license option. So in case if you have an on-prem license, you can reuse those licenses itself when you are modernizing your application on the public cloud. So these are two things probably I thought like may add to what Harnath said, though like he has covered bigger pieces in terms of like taking a legacy application as is onto cloud is going to be a very, very costly affair. Certainly there is no other option than modernize it. And or if you can do a balance between like where you can maybe leave some of the legacy on-prem itself and probably a wrapper or maybe something else, like if you can take it on the cloud, nothing like it. But in case if you're completely trying to migrate to the public cloud itself, it is always better to take the advantage of latest available offerings from the cloud providers. And containerization is one of the I would say like very common modernization aspect where you can use whether you want to use a open Kubernetes or maybe like a offering from the cloud providers depending on that. Serverless architecture certainly for all kind of like event-based jobs, that could be one thing. Analytics is can go on serverless architecture as well. These are few things like which I thought like maybe just add on top of what Harnath said.
Thanks, Jay. Really noted. The optimization tools, the BYOL that you spoke about. Thanks for chipping in here.
Prashanjit, if I may. So see, obviously after Harnath and Jay talk, there is very little left to be added to that. But what I just wanted to add is we see cloud in the perspective of the end user application. You talked about the business case. We see it as whether it's B2C application or B2E application. B2C is a clear case of cloud. I mean, I don't think there is anyone building a B2C application today with an in-house data center. So that's given. Their serverless computing, their containerization, everything comes in. Possibly the bigger challenge comes in when you try to migrate your employee-facing applications, SAP and their likes, to cloud, whether it's public cloud or private cloud or whichever be the case. So most of the time, CIOs face challenge in that perspective, how to create a business case around that. And I feel it's not CapEx versus OpEx. CapEx versus OpEx have already been discussed to a larger extent in many forums. But I guess one important point that we should consider is the refresh of the infra. So when we go for a private cloud, refresh of infra is kind of taken care of. But if we kind of stay with on-premise stuff, the cut is going to be both on the capex side as well as the opex side. You need to refresh your hardware possibly after 5-6 years, or you are stuck with your end of life hardware and you are not getting investment. That's even a worse condition. So I guess one of the use case or one of the stories that cloud providers should talk about is about refreshed infra. Rest of the things have already been covered by the other speakers.
A very valid point. I fully get it, and I know where you're coming from. Thanks, Subhamoy, for sharing. Yeah, I think Bhoopendra, Solanki, if you want to add on anything to this. We can't hear you properly. I don't know. At least I can't hear you. I don't know what others.
Hello, am I audible?
Now you're audible. Yes.
Yes, this cloud migration, it's a very good option available in the market, no doubt about it. But there is a two segment. One is running organization, one is newly or a startup organization. So startup organization, it's a straight fit. So there is no doubt about it. They can straight go on the cloud, and from day one, no need to invest capex and all.
Born in the cloud.
So born for the cloud, we can say. But the running organization, yes, many aspects are there where you have to think to move on cloud or migration, your data or solutions. So being a healthcare, our data is very precious, and security, privacy, all those concerns we always keep in front, and then we take the decision accordingly. Definitely, you can move to cloud based on your business nature, but some parameters are there like scalability, flexibility, all those things are there on the cloud, no doubt about it. But cost factor, still it's a debatable, because in many forums we heard cost always increase to higher side, not decreasing. So one thing, so that topic is debatable. But yes, it's a strong option available in the market, cloud, and according to business need, this technology leader along with the CFO and management, they should take the decision, not based on the cost factor.
Okay. Yeah. Point taken. Okay. Moving ahead, pivoting a bit. So, but staying with the cloud migration, my next question is, in your journey, in your corporate journey, wherever you are in this, how has the cloud migration, help you in faster innovation in your enterprise, in your business? Okay. And I would urge and request if you can give a few examples from your setup that using the cloud migration, etc., this has resulted in this amount of innovation or this degree of innovation within my setup. So if you can just share something, keeping the confidentiality in mind, we don't want to. So if you can share something, it will be really great.
Let me pick it up this time. Not sorry, I'm just pitching in before you. Yeah, so see, there are different use cases for cloud. So though, we run our own cloud where like my primary infrastructure goes, but still we see we can rip a lot of benefit from the public cloud as well. So for me, the biggest advantage which I could able to give as an example is like I run my disaster recovery site from public cloud. So there I get the agility and even lot of other innovation in terms of like there are a lot many SaaS services or the PaaS services which I consume, which I don't need to rebuild or don't need to build it again from scratch. Rather just simply consume it at the time of when the scalability is required. So a lot of other advantages which comes specifically like if I need to take the operational efficiency or scalability at the time when it is required. So normally like I just use maybe I would say like ICE as a service, infrastructure as a service, where at the time of drill or maybe like at the time of test drills or pre-drills, or in case if I need to simulate the same environment maybe for a different kind of innovation, or probably that's where like I'm trying to add couple of features on the existing portfolio itself, and I need to do the complete thorough test. At that particular time, I utilize the cloud only for the time till my testing is or test setup is running. And as soon as like those things goes up, I mean, I can completely clean up the complete environment, and maybe I don't need to reserve a capex or a capital infrastructure, which I would be just leaving it idle once the test is over. So it's the advantage which we get it. There are a lot of other things specifically which we talk about in today's scenario, especially when we talk about AI models. So there are a couple of AI models like which is being offered by such cloud providers, which we can simply take it, consume it, build our test cases, and see like whether those things are making sense for my business or not, or my application for my application or not. In case if any kind of image recognition, NLP kind of models, or maybe like Gen AI models as well in terms of chatbots and a couple of other things. So these are few things like which I'm taking advantage, and I think like I thought like that would be appropriate to share with the audience here.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks. So you touched upon PR side. You talked about operational efficiency. No need to reserve on any infrastructure for running your tests, and obviously the AI models that you talked about. Thanks a lot here. Anyone wants to add on to what Jay said?
If I may add to Jay, a couple of points here. I think I'll want to repeat something, a few points that he said, but in my own context. One, I think moving to cloud certainly gives you the ability to become more agile and responsive to market changes. So I think we've seen pandemic, and it wasn't not only limited to market, but I think it was an overall economical challenge that we've had. So I think cloud somewhere helped most of us to migrate from on-premise to cloud services very quickly. I think, and if you take the example of collaboration of professional services organization, I think collaboration is also the key workload, and also the mainstreaming with which the work happens, right? So mainstream workload, and typically all the services have been migrated to the cloud. So one, we've been able to become more agile, I would say, after we migrated to the cloud or the cloud services. And now with the newer offerings that are coming in the market, I think it's becoming much more easier for us to switch to the newer services, right? It's not that we have to download the newer version, test it out, and roll out a new change that comes in Teams or Office or any other Azure-based cloud services. It just happens overnight. It just comes in, right? That's the first advantage. Second thing is on driving innovation. So I think you heard Jay, you talked about the AI models. So we've been trying to innovate a lot in terms of providing services within the firm, especially for the employees and also for our clients. There are newer services that we're offering to our clients, primarily focusing on cloud-based technologies, because today I may host 10 clients on a cloud, but tomorrow I may have 100 clients on the cloud service that I'm offering, right? Which will mean that I need to be very flexible in terms of the infrastructure that is available, right? So it should be scaling from 10 to 100 very quickly in few days, and it may or may not be possible to do it on premise, and also considering the services that may or may not be available on premise, right? Especially that. And to take the example of a generative AI model or maybe any other AI model that we're using in our services, I think you didn't really have to download a model, right? For training and possibly using it. So this just quickly switch on the service, test it out. If it works fine, you start scaling it up. I think that's the advantage that you get. There's a second part. Third part, I think, is about the optimization of resources, right? So when you are running infrastructure on premise, you will have to have, while there are costs related to the cloud, while it gives you the flexibility and it gives you the benefit in terms of when you're running the service on the cloud, the pain of managing the on-premise infrastructure isn't there, right? Infrastructure is practically invisible when it is on the cloud. And as far as you are able to manage the cloud workloads efficiently, and the earlier point, FinOps, if it's taken care of, right, then you're taken care of in terms of your total cost of ownership. But the moment that particular tap is open, right, then obviously the whole efficiency that you gain everywhere else, be it on the business benefit to resource optimization, all those you tend to lose, right? So I think it's a very fair, I would say it's it's a fair balance between these two, and there are benefits, and you need to be conscious of where you're spending your money, right? And how you're really leveraging the power of the cloud rather than getting worried about the challenges that we have if you're not managing it.
Thanks, Anil Babu. Doubling down on optimization resources and also seconding what Jay said on the AI model, the Gen AI, etc. That is initial where you don't need to download everything and can run from in the steady state motion. Thanks for chiming in here. Anyone wants to add on?
If I may add,
yeah.
So I think we see innovation rather in two different ways. One is the sustaining part of it, which is about incremental change in your existing setup. And this is the small tweaks, innovations that we keep on doing. And generally, there is a way to manage that. But I think the most interesting part is the disruptive innovation part, where we are trying to create new revenue streams or a new line of business altogether. So this is where cloud fits in really. I mean, one part was about technology refresh, technology stack, etc. The other part is some of the pieces doesn't work on your on-premise at all. For example, if I want to do NLP, it's very hard to do that in my on-premise setup. If I want to do image processing, I can't imagine doing that. I mean, we have done that, and it's pretty easy if you want to start using some of the services of some of the hyperscalers. And if I leave all these features and functionalities out, in fact, if you talk about just the supply chain arithmetic, if somebody asks me to get a product out in 6 months and the product takes 3 to 4 months to build, I can't even think about ordering a hardware and getting there in on-premise in 2 months because of the logistics challenges. So I think for disruptive innovation, I don't see any other option other than going to cloud, I would say.
Okay, understood. Thanks for sharing your some of the applications like NLP, image processing, which obviously cannot be possible on on-premise mode.
So, as both the panelists said, the cloud, about the cloud. Yes, no one can untouched with the cloud. Even some application based on SaaS only. So we have to adopt those. And then one more thing, like you have to identify as a business leader or your technology leader, which are your core application, which you can run from your private cloud or on-prem setup, or you want to move to public cloud. That is the collective decision. But yes, some other segments are there where the SaaS-based applications or DR side you can make there, or some non-critical workload we can push to the cloud, and then this resource optimization, all those things we can do. So in healthcare, yes, hope you heard this HIPAA and other compliance are not much mandatory in India, but NABH standard and now new norms coming for healthcare segment. So those we have to take care, and based on those, we are very worried about the data privacy and security. So based on those factors, we not easy tend to move to cloud. Every healthcare in India, they are not completely on cloud, some partial, and then SaaS-based application they are using. But definitely this resource optimization and then license sharing, all those things are there where we can look and reduce our the OPEX cost as well as this capital cost as well.
Okay. Thank you. Moving to the new dimension, a totally different dimension, and just to go, and this is some thanks to Anand Babu for pointing it out. And it's a perfect segue. So when you talked about FinOps, cloud repatriation. So some organizations have already embarked on this. Some are considering repatriating workloads at some point of time. Some may not go through this. Still, cloud repatriation has a role in modern IT, mostly as a contingency plan in IT playbook. So please share your thoughts on cloud repatriation. Will it gain momentum, speed, steam, or do you think it may fizzle out? So I would like to hear.
So personally, I think cloud repatriation is already there, right? So I think most of the organizations should push themselves to the cloud in a hurry. In last couple of years, obviously they've realized, and to my earlier point, if you haven't really done the FinOps well, or if you haven't done your TCO very well before migrating to the cloud, and also had not envisaged the type of consumption that the application will do on the cloud resources, I think you end up actually looking back the on-premise, because I think somewhere the cost of running on-premise comes to be more effective when it comes to some certain type of workload, right? Not all type of workloads, as we discussed, are suitable for on-premise, but many of them are to run on, they can be running on-premise, especially if you have done lift and shift and you've done monolithic migration from on-premise to the cloud. Obviously, it's a clear case of coming back, especially from a repatriation point of view. And certainly, as I said, many organizations have already done that because they did not really look at the finer elements, the finer aspects of running the applications on the cloud. When you do repatriation, obviously there are multiple upsides and downsides. The upside is obviously you can look at cost optimization. You can look at a model which is more hybrid. You can look at running your workloads on premise, possibly scaling to cloud if it's required, if the application architecture allows it. But typically, as I said, monolithic applications which are more system of records, more static, do not require too much of engagement, those can continue to stay on premise, and people have migrated from cloud to the on-premise, right? So one, obviously it helps you optimizing the cost. Second advantage that people have seen is after they've migrated from cloud to on-premise is the performance and latency. You had to return it back to the cloud if you were running an application, right? As I said, it's very, if the application is monolithic, not built on microservices, you have to basically, and let's say if it's working within the organization's perimeter, then it made more sense, right, to run it on-premise. And obviously the performance and latency can have improved because you're still using the local network rather than getting onto the internet and coming back. Putting up express routes or a fixed bandwidth between your data center to the cloud obviously can also become expensive. The other piece that people have realized that when you're pushing the data, the cloud would welcome. When you try to get the data out, cloud would not welcome, right? There'll be a charge. So in ingress and egress, there'll be especially egress is a cost, right? So I think some of those challenges have been there. Third, to my earlier point, cloud was always thought that if I'm putting my data on the cloud, my data is secure, my data is safe. I think that is that's a misnomer, that's a wrong notion actually. It's a shared responsibility, right? So if you're trying to run a large on-premise infrastructure and again try to create some more infrastructure on the cloud, you practically have to replicate the same security controls there on the cloud. That means you're duplicating the security controls, and which means that the cost will be higher. You accordingly can decide on what can come back onto on-premise, which still required to be the other. So I think some of these are the upsides of repatriation. Now, I mean, the advantages that are there of the cloud that we have seen, especially the services that are available out of the box, the time to market. I think you lose on to those upsides as you repatriate. But again, as I said, it all depends on the type of workload that you're running on. This is all.
Thank you. Well, just a follow-up question, Babu, is does this mean that like all roads lead to Rome? Is this means that all roads lead to hybrid cloud infra going forward? That is going to be the order of the day?
I think that's the way to it looks like, because I think you have to, as I said, you have to take a very balanced view. Another important point that comes in, the talent gap continues to become wider, right? So as I said, a lot can be managed on the cloud and some can be managed on the. So I think somewhere the organization also have to take a very balanced view in terms of what sort of skill set they want to retain and what they want to push on, right? To kind of answer your question, yes, hybrid is the future because you need to optimize your resources and also scale as you require, right? And again, you have to also look at your infrastructure and your application to adopt to that kind of a model, right? If it's a large monolithic application, you cannot really scale from on-premise to the cloud. But if you really build a microservice-based architecture, which can run on-premise, the moment you have more load, you switch to the cloud and you can again come back, right? I think some of those models are going to be the future because you have better control and plus you have better efficiency in terms of cost as well.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks for sharing your views. I'd like to hear from Subhamoy and Bhoopendra. Your thoughts on this?
I think the primary reason of this repatriation is cost. So either it has been missold or it has not been understood by the CIO what is the cost implication going to be. The other things are like fallout. So if that is the case, I think right now the first response is if the cost is going out of my control, I come back to on-premise. There is another option left. So private cloud can also be looked at as an option here. But of course, cost pressure is going to be there, and most of the CIOs who are repatriating, possibly they had assumed something out of the billing, which is not the case. So I would say this is a problem on both sides. It's both on the partner side as well as on the CIO side, that they could not foresee this.
Yeah. So that stems from that. Fully agree. So, and you also agree with that, Subhamoy, the hybrid cloud is the way to go?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, it's not 100% cloud. You can't do that. Obviously, there will be cases where you have to be on-premise. So it's a balanced approach that you have to take.
Fantastic. Mr. Bhoopendra, Solanki, you want to add on?
As Soma said, hybrid cloud is the future. Yeah, definitely. Even we also on hybrid cloud segment. And definitely at the time of when you are planning to move on cloud, that time, if you not done the exercise properly in all the aspect, then this return back to home kind of story will come. So that homework we have to do in all the aspect, not only cost, like legacy applications, latency, bandwidth need to increase from the cloud partner to your on-prem things. All those things you have to consider, then only take the decision on to move the cloud. Otherwise, yes, back to home concept will come later, and then CIO Naukri will be in fire, correct? So then that will be there. So that is our thought. But definitely, like the people who's having uncertain workload, I'll give one example like Amazon. Amazon do the sale based on their like festival sale kind of. So 1,000 hit become a lakh or in billions those hits. So this on-prem setup can't afford those things because scalability, flexibility all are not there. So for such kind of workload, cloud is perfect option. They can go because based on the uses, that consumption will come and then billing, monthly billing or whatever will come. But if your workload is static, like 100 hit coming every day and sometimes 90, sometimes 110, then no need to go for such kind of flexible cloud model. You can make your private cloud or hybrid cloud type, like as Harnath said, if workload is more, then it will go to the public cloud, then come back to the on-prem cloud. So that way we can manage.
Okay. So in your domain, in your industry that you are from, you also see a trend towards that, right? Okay, fantastic. So I won't be doing a fair job if I don't touch upon this dimension of security. Okay. So many companies have adopted a multi-cloud strategy, which necessitates the use of third-party security tools for consistent policy and governance. And many think that, security is basically to be covered by the cloud provider, okay? And they do not have a sufficient options at their disposal. So how do you as a CIO, how do you tackle this menace of security which keeps the CIOs awake at night, okay? And how do you grapple with it? So maybe since Harnath Babu is always starting off the discussion, maybe I'd like Sharma, if you want to share your views on this.
Yeah, I think actually Harnath covered most of the points earlier, that it's a joint responsibility. See, the problem stems from the fact that when people buy cloud, they assume that it is secure. And this is also further strengthened by the pitch, by the hyperscaler saying that, see, my cloud is being used by such and such organization, which is hypercritical, say a government agency or a space agency, etc. So that gives an impression that possibly that cloud is the safest. I don't need to do anything. So it's there. But as all of us know, that it's a joint responsibility, and if anything needs to be implemented, it's for us only to do that. So this should be told in black and white. I think that should do.
Do you see that mindset across organizations, or people still feel that no, it is a core responsibility of the service provider, I will do very little from my end? Or do you think that is really sunken?
It depends on the individual CIOs also. So what I've seen is in larger organizations which has matured IT team and setups, there this misinformation is not there. But if you go to smaller setups which doesn't have a dedicated IT team, which is more or less kind of running the show, sort of, so there this misconception has further impact. So I think it's a responsibility for all of us to make it a point loud and clear that it's your responsibility. It's not the hyperscalers or the private cloud's responsibility to secure your data.
Fantastic. Bhoopendra, you want to add anything?
Summa said it's a responsibility from both the side, means cloud provider as well as the owner of that solution. And one thing, initially, even cloud provider not telling the true story means I can take care only infrastructure part, not the application, not the data. So all those things now even people or CIOs and also people now aware, and then they are asking these questions, and then provider also giving the clarity. But before that, and that's why few cases we heard in the newspaper like data is steal or somebody hanged or ransomware attack is there. Then they realize no, they will take care only infrastructure part as in buying cloud solution, not the application security, not the data. If you want to ask them to protect, then they will charge for it. So either you keep your team or you give completely to them with the clarity. Those things now in the market, not like 2 year or 3 year ago. The conception was we buy cloud and then everything will take care by the cloud provider. So that thing was there. And in healthcare also, few organization data ransomware attack was there or down for few hours and few days. So those things are there. So now clarity is coming on the cyber security part. Either it's on-prem, hybrid or private public cloud. So everywhere it is there. And DPDP also forcing all of us to bring the more security and agile solution and in place.
Okay, fantastic. Harnath Babu, I'm not going to ask you the same question. You already answered it. I will tweak the question for you. Since you come from a consulting space and you work across verticals, okay, entire 9 years, my question to you is, who do you think are the early innovators, okay, front runners in this, and which are the ones you feel are a bit laggards from an industry verticals point of view? The mindset of the CIOs in terms of the security, what they need to have.
So I think, Prasenjit, that as I said, a different organization with different mindset to your point, and people have been able to assess the pros and cons very clearly. So of them, saw the pros with cloud providers because I think cloud brings you that capability. Cloud brings the investment that typically comes at a larger scale. It's the scale that is available for organization. And to Subhamoy's point, many organizations which are running small technology teams, they may have many capabilities to run, and do everything that is possibly, is required to run applications securely. So I think they have really looked at cloud as one of the options. The other part is when it comes to the cons, I think just discussed about the shared responsibility and the challenge that we have. It's an interesting point, right? There are limited customization that is possible when it comes to cloud. So if you're running your own on-premise infrastructure, you're trying to run your own security, there's a lot of customization that we could potentially do. But when it comes to cloud, I think there's only so much of a customization you can do on the security layers. Additionally, the advantage coming back to, you can always take it as a service. If you think that something is required, you can always switch it on. And to answer your question, which companies have done it? Companies which have got very high exposure to cloud services, they have migrated, especially the retail sector, what I've seen, they have matured because the number of hits that they get, especially with cyber attacks that they get, I think it's not easy for them, right? I think they have gone ahead and done it. We have seen financial services going while they were very cautious about getting to the cloud, once they got onto the cloud, I think they have extensively put the controls, primarily driven by their own requirements, and also the regulators really pushing for it. Right? There's a second set of companies. Third, healthcare companies have done it. I wouldn't know whether hospitals would do it, but typically large aggregators, right, who have really, brought the healthcare system together. I think they have also invested a lot in terms of cybersecurity. And most importantly, considering the recent data privacy laws that have come in, I think the larger internet, when I'm saying internet, companies which are purely digital native companies, which have reached to some scale, I think they're also seriously looking at it in terms of securing their infrastructure or securing their workloads. I think there's no straight answer to this, but I think these are the very visible industries who have really gone ahead and proactively invested in technology or security as well.
Okay. Thanks for sharing this. this is an afterthought. This was not in the set of questions. So what I yesterday night, it just dawned on me, and I thought I will seek the opportunity of asking the experts where they've got the platform. So the new entrant on the block is industry cloud platform. They are designed to meet the specific needs of vertical industry segments, which are inadequately served by the generic solutions. And it is estimated by Gartner that by 2027-28, 70% of the enterprises will use industry cloud platforms to accelerate business initiatives of theirs. So I would like to ask the industry practitioners out here, their thoughts, their take on this, and really will it take off in this way which Gartner has predicted? Over to you, sir.
So where to go with it?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's too early because right now we are talking about hyperscalers in generic sense. But if you talk about industry clouds, there is also going to write some of these hyperscalers possibly. So we need to see how it comes out. So I don't have any view as of now.
Now, do you see that the mass adoption which they're talking about? Do you see a possibility?
See, some of the applications are generic in nature. I mean, though we say that it's a media company or it's a healthcare company or that's an education company, if you talk about the nature of the application, finally, suppose I am sharing some content based on some subscription. Similarly, if you talk about a, say, EdTech platform, it's also about sharing content based on subscription. So there is a lot of similarity. I don't see there is a very sharp division between industry at certain segments. So whether it requires an industry-specific cloud or whether it suffices to be with hyperscalers something, that we need to see.
Okay, fantastic.
So, Prasenjit, if I may,
Yes.
advantage of industry cloud, if I kind of look at it in different parts, one, obviously it gives you accelerated innovation, right? So, I think it's very tuned to the industry that you're looking at. Let's say be it healthcare or retail or financial services. And there are examples, right? Let's say Amazon Web Services has a healthcare specific cloud, or AWS has Azure has a retail specific cloud. So I think there are cloud services that are fine-tuned for a particular industry, which are focusing on innovation that is required in that particular industry. That's number one. Number two is the compliances that typically is required. To my earlier point, if AWS has come up with a healthcare cloud, it would focus on HIPAA very much. It would focus on some of the regulations that would impact. It's not really covering the whole 9 yards to your point, but it's only very focused on on a specific industry and the regulations and the impact it would have if it's not taken care of. Right. So I think there's a second part. Third part is every industry has specific workflows, right? They will have a specific way of working. These applications and these services that would be fine-tuned and put on the cloud, you could quickly bring services up. You could quickly bring those workflows seamlessly for running an organization if you're using that specific cloud, right? And at the end of the day, when you're bringing all innovation, you're bringing workflows, you're bringing security, I think the bottom line is, are you looking at focused approach for reducing costs? You're not reinventing the wheel every time you're trying to build something. So let's say if healthcare X company X is trying to do something, Y is also trying to do something. They don't need to do independently because those services are already available. You could just simply pick and choose and build your applications. So I think, to my mind, industry clouds will be there in future, and they'll continue to prevail in the market. The idea is, as I said, the advantages are huge. The disadvantage could be depending on number of takers that are going for it, right? So this is that the continuous enhancement continue to happen on the cloud.
Okay, understood. Thanks. Bhoopendra ji, your take, would you be incentivized to go for one of this healthcare cloud by one of the hyperscalers? What is your take on that?
Yeah, definitely this industry-based cloud offering are definitely going to help, because if you go to any cloud provider, then you have to give based on your industry best practices input to them. So if they are already having, like as Mr. Harnath said, HIPAA compliance, they have to comply. Like that. It is and then Indian government also are making some compliances for the healthcare industry. So no need to give or no need to invest so much time during the cloud buying decision. So then that is straightforward. We can go, we have a checklist, and then okay, this is all done. Then we can move or migrate our workload to the cloud. So those things are there. Definitely it's going to help. But yes, up to the mark means which whatever this IDC told, up to that level it will go, not go. That I think future will tell. But that industry-based cloud offering will help definitely. And in healthcare, like I'll tell one example, we have HIS, Hospital Information System, running for the past 10 years, and then it's developed 25 years ago. Then how it will run through the cloud. So all those aspects also come into that. Means some partner, big partner, because HIS can't make by the small organization. So big partner have to come in, and then they have to develop this robust solution, cloud based native of cloud. Then hospitals can plug in into that HIS and utilize the cloud option. Otherwise, it's running in silos, every hospital having their own HIS and running in legacy, difficult to move on the cloud. So those things are there still, and challenges are there. But definitely this industry-based cloud offering will help.
Okay, so if you're seeing a huge potential in the years to come. Okay,
Yes.
fantastic. We're coming to the end of this program. This is run by CXO TV. They have a huge CIO member base across verticals, etc. So my last request to each one of your esteemed panel members is, since many companies are at the different points of their cloud journey, what are the two things you want to leave behind for your peers from your community, etc., from a vertical or may not be, about your experience in the cloud, and what are the two things that you will, as a practitioner, leave behind for them? So anyone, if you can just pick 2 points and which you want to say to your peers from the CXO community.
So if I may, Prasanjeet,
Yeah.
I would say don't rush to it unless you have a clear, clear use case or a business case. Please assess your TCO and ROI very clearly.
Yeah.
That's one. And if you take a decision to move to the cloud, make sure that you move what is relevant and what will seamlessly run on the cloud. Don't go and come back, right? It doesn't make sense. There's just this cost involved everywhere. Right? So if you're migrating to the cloud, relook at refactoring to getting to microservices, getting to services which are modernize it before you really move. So I think these are the two things one should.
To sum it up, do a very proper, thorough homework before you embark.
Exactly.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, cloud is a
Sorry, go ahead.
But so cloud is a strong option and state fit for the startups. But the running organization, yes, thorough study is required to move on to the cloud. Otherwise, this back to home concept will come later, and then it will be difficult for both technology leader and organization as well.
Any specific for your peers from the healthcare, since you come from the space? Any nuance you want to bring out for the healthcare CXOs?
Yeah, healthcare, there are 3 core applications which we run for the patient journey. So all those 3, this application availability is must. Means you can't afford even a single minute downtime. So on those segment, you have to create a different segment, and REST application create a different segment. And that way you have to think, either you can migrate this workload, tier 1 workload to the cloud, or only tier 2 you can upload the or migrate to the cloud. So that decision need to take by the peers before moving or before taking the decision to the cloud.
Okay, thank you. Over to you, Solanki.
Yeah, so one word of caution. So do your maths, brush up your maths before you jump into it. And one word for enticement. It's great to be there, so please join.
Okay, so you're signing off with a very optimistic note. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Really a pleasure hearing your perspective and insights, etc. I thoroughly enjoyed it and hope you also did the same. And I hope all the CXO peers, when they listen to this or recording and audio, will pick up a lot of nuances and learnings which will help them in their journey. Thank you very much. And look forward to seeing you soon again on one of the platforms. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.